Every life has a story, and every story is worth sharing. Your story, my story, and our story speak of victory and defeat, joy and sorrow, resilience and vulnerability. They are not just our story, they are Christ's story in us. They are Kingdom Stories from Down Under.
He was found and saved by Christ in his late teens from a life marked by surfing, drugs and playing in rock bands. He's now married with 3 adult sons. He's a worship leader, a pastor, a speaker, an author, a church planter and an evangelist. He's written and recorded around 50 songs, several of them with Hillsong Church, including Awesome in This Place, Shout of the King, Wonderful God. He has a passion to help ignite hearts with the Father's love and to release the prophetic. He said that in His presence we are transformed into His likeness, and the unsaved encounter the Father's love coming to Him. Beautiful words. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to present you Ned Davis. Ned, welcome to Kingdom Stories from Down Under.
Okay.
You're a true blue Aussie?
True blue.
Born here?
Raised, even in Perth.
Well, then you match the Kingdom Stories from Down Under.
All right then.
Fully on.
Yeah, good.
So you were born in Perth?
I was, yep. Grew up here.
And then you went to Sydney and then you came back here?
I spent 20 years in Sydney, planted a church in Bondi Beach.
Wow.
And enjoyed that, and that's how I then got connected with Hillsong, became a worship pastor there.
Yes.
And but Perth's home base, and it was nice to come back again.
So it all began here in Perth?
I grew up in Perth. I grew up mostly on the beach at Triggs. That's where my family lived. And
I love Trigg Beach.
It was the best childhood.
Yeah.
Like my
did you live nearby? Scarborough?
Yeah,
did you
right
live?
on the beach. Yeah, like
you live
Medham's, Triggs, Trigg
Oh,
Island.
wow.
Like my mum still lives there, 100 metres from the surf.
That is beautiful.
So
we love
every
Medham
morning
School.
I'm up early, surfing before school, surfing after school, snorkeling on the reef.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just the best.
When did you learn to swim?
I was pretty young.
4 or 5 maybe?
Yeah, about that. In the Swan River to start with, I think. And I had some lessons at Medham's pool. Yeah.
Okay. So the lessons weren't at the swimming pools, they were at the ocean.
Yeah, they did have lessons there way
Yeah?
back. They still do, I think, but it's
Wow.
it gets a bit rocky, I think, for the little kids now.
So mum and dad, they're Australians or English?
My dad came here when he was about 2.
Okay.
He's Welsh.
Welsh.
His dad was in the Welsh Revival.
Oh.
And so, but he had some health problems, so they said, you've got to move to a warm climate. So my dad came with his dad at the age of 2 and brought his Welsh singing voice, I guess.
Yes.
And but my mum grew up here. She's from early settlers who farmed out of 2J.
Okay.
And so that's where her family comes from. And they met and fell in love and stayed in love their entire life. So it's a pretty great family to grow up in.
They both still with us?
No, my father's passed.
Okay.
Yeah, but my mum's still here. She's in her late 80s, but still full of life,
Hallelujah. That's beautiful. And so your dad and mum, they were believers?
Look, they had faith in God.
Okay.
They attended church, not often.
Okay.
But they had faith in God. And I didn't really hear the name Jesus. Probably in my teenage years, it was more about psychology and New Age philosophy.
Yeah.
Most of the books in our home, like the Bible certainly was never brought out or talked about, referenced. Sure. It was very much sort of, you can do it yourself. Do it yourself. All the isms.
How many brothers and sisters?
I have 2 brothers.
Older, younger?
My older brother and my younger brother.
So you're a middle boy.
I'm the one in the middle. My older brother was a ratbag, and he just went totally down the hippie route and all the stuff of the time of the 70s, I guess.
And did that influence you?
Yes, it did. And I went
Were you looking
twice
after
as
him?
fast as he did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, thinking this is the way to do it.
What's the age gap?
Just 2.5 years, like
Okay.
3 years at school.
Yes.
So I was much younger than him as I got into the same things he was getting into.
Yeah.
But he was a very good surfer, and I mean, he got the scholarship to the private school, and
Because of his sport ability?
no, mainly because of his academic ability.
Okay.
But then I got picked as the last few to get the scholarship as well. But because he was such a rat bag, they were never going to give it to me.
Oh.
Even though I qualified, I was
Yeah.
one of the last few standing for the... Anyway, so I still went to that school,
Yeah.
but I felt like I had to uphold his reputation.
Oh.
So as soon as I got to school, I just had a bad attitude and started getting disciplined,
This is in high school?
High school, yeah.
Yeah. So growing up on the beach, good life, really fun. A lot of surfing.
Very, very healthy.
Yeah.
Lots of bike riding and surfing, and I was very, very fit through my teenage years.
What school did you go to? Primary
Scotch
school?
College.
Scotch College.
Yeah.
Oh, private school.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's expensive school for my
Yeah.
parents, but I loved that school. I
Yeah.
should have treated it better
Yeah.
and been more appreciative.
What's
But-
one of your best memories from primary school?
I think it was mostly through those years. It was the surfing before school and after school, and the music, because I was very passionate about music.
Is that when you started playing
Oh,
or
I
singing?
started much younger. So actually, my earlier years, I'd grown up with in Chewett Hill. It was a bit of a really tough area. Lots of Macedonians, Greeks, Italians. Everybody was
Wogs.
there. We called them wogs, and they get angry. But everyone was fighting, punching, and then eventually, just as I was moving,
Yeah.
they started pulling knives on each other and
Oh.
stealing cars, and it was a good time to get out.
Yeah.
But I'd learned how to fight, just fight
Ah.
on the street. Everybody, you had to learn to fight or you wouldn't survive. But in that environment, I still played the piano. And they'd tease me, they'd mock me mercilessly. But I just loved it. And so I
When did you start playing the piano?
I was
4,
just a little
5?
kid. No, maybe about 8.
Okay.
So
Lessons or
lessons, yeah. I
Yeah.
did all the classical, route, all the exams and the...
So who valued this in your home? Your dad?
Well, my mum, she still plays in a symphony orchestra. So
Oh.
she's a violist.
Okay.
Has been like a first violinist back in her university days. My dad was a singer, so he was
Yes.
musical, romanced my mum with song. But my mum, she's maintained a strong musical interest all of her life, played in orchestras, so we just grew up with it.
So you carried this through your teenage years as well?
Yeah, right through, even though it wasn't valued when I was young.
Yeah.
In teenage years it becomes a bit more cool to be musical, but at school I went from piano to taught myself guitar,
Yeah.
played cello, played violin, played saxophone, everything I could get my hands on,
Yeah.
just because I loved it,
Hmm. So when did the rock begin? The rock music?
I started in school, school
Yeah.
bands to start with.
So you had bands in Scotch?
Yeah, and then as soon as I left school, there was a lot of opportunity. Because I was a singer, songwriter.
Oh, already
played-
by then?
Yeah. So,
Were you in a band now?
at
Is
that
it-
stage,
yeah.
I was playing in different bands, just, you know what it's like, everybody's trying to get a breakthrough.
So was it mainly on keyboard and vocal? Or?
Mainly keys and vocal.
Okay.
That's probably my strongest suit.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'd break out on a trombone or a violin, but overall,
This way or this way?
this way. But that was more like playing in, cabaret bands.
Oh,
I did
jazz.
I did some cabaret stuff, mainly with horns.
Yeah.
But no, it was a passion, and so the thing that cut into that though was the drug use,
Okay.
because inevitably that crept into the surfing lifestyle and
Yes.
the music lifestyle.
Was it heavy or mainly marijuana and light drugs?
I ended up being part of a band with some amazing musicians, and I think every one of them were heroin addicts,
Oh,
but incredibly gifted.
yeah.
They wanted me to use,
Mm-hmm.
but I just didn't want to. I'd smoke the stuff, but I wouldn't inject it. But I was stoned a lot, and this, the marijuana took its toll. You know, it has a different effect on different people, but for me, I got paranoid, and apathy kicked in.
Yeah.
It was just hard to go that extra mile, get stuff done. You start to lose your incentive. When you're playing, you think you're Jimi Hendrix and you're, Led Zeppelin, and you're creating something, but because you were stoned, you can't remember what you did, and you can't go back there. So it was terribly, it was a disincentive in the long run.
Were you in a relationship or in relationships with girls?
Look, I liked girls a lot, and I'd chase them down, but I wasn't a committed type of guy,
Yeah.
It was all about, just have fun and play.
Yeah. And so when you finished school, you didn't go to uni or a college or TAFE? Or?
No, I put that off because I really wanted to pursue my music.
So you started touring?
Just playing around town,
And what did you do for money?
Actually, for a short while, I worked in a bank.
Mm-hmm.
The bank and me didn't really fit.
No. They didn't like your music, did they?
Well, they didn't like that I was... It was one of those monotonous types of jobs, you're stamping everything, stamping the checks and stuff, and I just wasn't into it, there's nothing creative about that.
Yeah.
So, and then one of my mates from school that we used to use drugs together, he came and worked next to me. So of course my mate did. So every lunchtime we were off at his place doing bad things.
Wow.
So it didn't help our work. And
did you get fired or you left before you got fired?
I'm not sure which one came first. It was hitting that critical point either way. But no, I mean, it was... I started drinking, I had a bottle of tequila under the front seat of my car. I'd drink it before I started work, and afterwards, it was just like, I don't know why I did it. It was just like, this is what you do when you're a musician and
you were in your own bubble.
You blow your brains on drugs and you live life.
How long did that last?
Look, it lasted a couple of years, really. I went very hard at it.
Were you still living at home or you moved out?
No, mostly at home.
How did your parents take it? Because obviously...
They didn't like it.
You couldn't hide it, could you?
No, I couldn't hide it. They'd get upset.
And your little brother? What was he doing?
Who's that?
Your little brother.
He was there. I mean, my little brother was... these days you'd say he's very much a nerd,
Okay.
He just got all ones in his, subjects and, like 99.5% or whatever it is you get, He just loved being studious. He just had a love for learning.
Mm-hmm.
And he still today has like a photographic memory. Just learning things is not even
effortless.
But he's just wired that way.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was super disruptive for him. Although, to be honest, around that time, like my older brother had to get kicked out of home because he was trying to deal drugs from the house. Didn't go over well.
No.
My parents are really kosher people. Like they're really solid.
Value driven.
Not alcoholic, don't smoke, don't swear, and just good-hearted people. So I don't know how he and I turned out to be such rat bags, but we did, So then my younger brother was all right, but he's got epilepsy.
Oh.
And in the middle of all of this, the whole home just seemed like it was in unbelievable turbulence.
Mm-hmm.
It was really tough.
So he would have fits?
Oh, he'd have terrible fits. I mean, it was almost, it's awkward to say, but he could pick up these massive logs and hurl them at his friend, seemed like it was almost supernatural. Mm-hmm. Something really weird. Hey, to be honest, looking back, I think that he opened doors to stuff.
Yeah.
And I had opened doors to stuff. So I think in our
Spiritual.
home, generally, spiritual doors have been opened to demonic oppression.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. We got invaded as a family. And
So what happened next? Did you meet your current wife?
No. What happened was this is where I started to really crash.
Mm-hmm.
I was only young, but I needed more money to get better gear. Like typical musician, I want better gear. So I thought, I've got a mate who worked at Mount Tomprice, and he said, come
at the
with
mines.
me. At the mines, yeah. So I thought, well, I'll go up and work.
Yeah.
So I went up there in the middle of summer. 50 degrees days, right?
Flies everywhere.
It was pretty hot, but you think, I'm tough, So we built scaffolding, but I took a pound of marijuana with me.
Wow.
And I was ostensibly to sell, but I smoked a heck of a lot of it myself, and so that wasn't good for me. There
were no drug tests back then.
No, there weren't.
Just you and Red Dog up there.
Yeah, no. But I wasn't using drugs during the day. But of course, if you're stoned all night, you're still not really alert. Sure. We used to have the saying, be alert because alerts live longer,
Yeah.
But because the marijuana really knocked your senses, the ability to be alert.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was up there, and then I've been reading some strange things like I'm Okay, Born Free, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and just cycling around some sort of very spiritual stuff. Mm-hmm. Just before I went there, so I sort of got connected with this other group of friends. Like one group of my friends were heavy drinkers.
Yes.
Into the footy and the cricket.
Yeah.
But always drinking. Mm-hmm. Another group of my friends just wanted to be stoned all day.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I was a spinning top bouncing from one group to the other. And then I wound up with this other group that were into occult. Really occult. So just before I went there, this girl deals me the tarot cards. And the card this is my card, right?
Yes.
It's the death card.
Oh.
And she gets scared and she pulls the card back and goes, I don't want to do it. But I'd seen it.
Yes.
So in my mind, I don't know, I'm as naive as they come. I just think it's all good, it's all spiritual, it must be good.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing is, since that, all the music I'm listening to, I start to hear the word death.
Uh-huh.
I'd never heard that before. Same music, sure, bands like Grateful Dead and, all the bands that were around then, but the word death just kept really seeming to be highlighted every time it'd come up as lyrics to the song. It was haunting me. I think, why am I hearing death all the time? I don't like this, But I couldn't turn it off. So then I'm in Mount Tomprice, living in the single men's quarters. And some of the other guys came up from that group. They moved into the town prostitute's house. And one night we're sitting there, we're all stoned off our faces, and for some reason out of my mouth comes this, we need to have a seance. And as soon as the words came out of my mouth, I'm thinking, I don't want to have a seance. I'm not interested in that at all. Why did I even say that?
Where did it come from?
Where did it come from?
Yeah.
Where did it come from? Doors I'd been opening, I think, in my journey.
Yes.
So it was not just me, because I know in my own mind I didn't want to do it.
Sure.
But these other guys were right into it. Apparently it was something they did all the time. Anyway, so I tried to steer clear of that place because I knew they really jumped on that. They said, yeah, we're going to do it. Anyway, I eventually went to their house, and they, this big guy, Ellie, he's almost screaming at me, you've got to do this seance, and I'm saying, nah, man, I'm not into this, I don't want to do it. He's almost screaming at me, everybody's ganging up on me, you have to do the seance. So because I'm a peace child, you know, sort of hippie kind of peace child, marijuana smoker, I go, just be cool, man, you know, we'll do this. So I sit down at the table, they put the glass turned upside down on the table, and everyone puts their hand on the table. The lady, she's right into this, she goes, oh, we need a picture of Mary, you know. And they couldn't find one. Okay, well, I don't know what Mary's got to do with anything. Nevertheless, so we all have our hands on the glass, and the glass starts hovering, like literally hovering off the table. Like, you just can't do that. And there's, you know, letters. There are letters of the alphabet around a circle. So they say, is there anyone here to talk to us? And it just, honestly, that glass just hovers over to Y-E-S. I mean, I watched it move with my hand on it.
Yeah.
And so then they say, are you going to harm us? And then it goes Y-E-S, you know. So everyone just pulls their hands off the glass, right? Except I'm probably the last one, because I'm still half stoned. I'm going, what did they just say? You know, I'm not really tuning in. But this is the thing. You could feel something happen in that room. Like, it started to feel bad. Like bad, like heavy, like sinister, like just, and I ran. I just said, I'm out of here, man. They're yelling at me, come back. They're saying, come back, we'll get someone good next time. I'm going, nah, mate, I don't think there is anyone good out there, you know. I'm gone, and I ran. And so then I found my way back to the single men's quarters.
Yeah.
But that night, I'm trying to sleep, and it feels like there's a presence in the room trying to push into me, trying to take me over. Like, and I'm terrified.
Yeah.
I'm fighting in my mind to who my dad is, who my mum is, who my brothers are, my identity, because this other thing that I don't even believe in is pushing into my mind so fiercely. About 2 a.m, I'm so tortured by this that I just went out into the desert, you know, like it's just desert, there's nothing in this, you know, how many millions of stars. And I just went, help me, God, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me, God. I didn't know God. But and that's all I could do. But then some sort of calm came on me.
Mm-hmm. Peace.
Yeah, probably like peace.
Yeah.
I was still tortured, but I felt like I could survive the night, you know?
Yeah.
And I got through. Then all these weird things started happening, and, you know, you could say I'd lost my mind, but it was weird. Every time the word death got mentioned, like the power would shut off.
Yeah.
Didn't matter where I was. I was in the hairdressing salon, and that lady who did the occult, does the occult stuff, she was the hairdresser. The word death came on, all the power suddenly went off. She's looking at me like, in the shop. She's looking at me like, what the heck just happened, you know?
Yeah.
It happened several other times, and I just went, I'm so spooked. Like, there's something invisible that doesn't like me.
Yeah.
And it's really trying to wipe me out.
Yeah.
And at this point, you got to realize, from the time of that seance,
yes,
I didn't touch another drop of dope. Like, I wouldn't. I was so scared. It freaked me out so much. I still had plenty.
Scared the drugs out of you.
Scared the drugs out of me. Wished it scared the hell out of me right at that point, because I had hell in me.
Yeah.
But I was scared, and so I wouldn't smoke anything. I just knew I need to keep every bit of my mind that I've got, because something's happening here that I've got no handle on, you know?
Yeah.
It haunted me so bad, I just went, I'm getting out of this town, you know? I've got to get out. I tried to hitchhike, no one would pick me up. So in the end, I called my parents. I said, look, you know, can you rescue me, you know? Can you get me a ticket? Get me an airline ticket. So I get an airline ticket, and I've got to drive from Mount Tamalpais to Parapadu. It's a 2-hour bus trip to get to the airport. And I'm standing outside the bus, and yeah, there's some details a bit extreme, you know, but there is a guy there dressed totally in black, and he's just looking at me with these menacing black eyes. And I'm going, it seems like this guy knows me somehow. Why the heck does he keep looking at me like this? You know? But I'm just chain smoking. I'm just chain smoking, and I'm praying. Really, the only kind of prayer I know is, God, you got to help me, please help me, you know, I'm desperate. Anyway, I get on the bus and I go right to the back, and I'm sitting up there smoking, back in the day when you could.
Yeah.
And next to me is a guy, and I'm giving him my rap. I'm going, mate, Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance, you know. You know, you've got to ride your Beamer across the planet, and, you know, it's just get that Zen thing happening. And he turns to me, he goes, listen, mate. He goes, I don't think that's the truth. He says, to be honest, he says, I'm sitting here chain smoking with you, but he says, living in this town's been bad for me. He goes, but I'm a Christian. He goes, you know, I think the Bible's got the answers for you, and you need Jesus.
Yeah.
The thing was, when I was younger, I had an encounter with Jesus while surfing at Rottnest, you know.
Yes.
It's a whole other story, but I'd lost it in those years of drugs. I forgot I'd even known God, you know.
Yeah.
And he starts telling me that the answers are in the Bible, and then I could tell him, mate, what's happening to me?
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
Yeah.
There's something every time the word death comes around, stuff happens, and he just said to me, well, you've indulged in cursed practices. He says to me, he says, you've opened the door to the enemy realm, but, you know, you can shut the door.
So you could actually understand that now.
Oh, I understood it.
You were sober enough to get it.
Oh, I got it, you know. But that guy was a Seventh-day Adventist as well. He just said to me, listen, mate, what you really need is Jesus.
Yeah.
But I think, he says, if it was up to me, I'd tell you to worship on Saturday and don't eat pork. He goes to me, you know, from that day, I never would eat pizzas because they all had ham in them.
Yeah.
That's what I thought I was getting, you know. Like, if you have God, you can't eat ham and pineapple pizzas, which were my favourite. So I got two different messages there, you know. But after a while, I got the revelation, you know. I eat ham and pineapple now. But look, he said Jesus, and honestly, when we got on the plane, I just said, listen, mate, I don't
He was with you on the plane as well?
Because he was coming to fly home to his wife, you know. And he's an English guy, but lovely guy. And he gave me the message. So when I got home, when I got on the plane, I just looked at my ticket and I said, I don't care what seat I'm on. I'm sitting next to you, man. Yeah. No one's taking that from me. So I just sat next to him and just argued anybody else away. I'm staying here. This guy, I got to stay here. He's my salvation.
Lifeline.
He was my lifeline. Honestly, he was. And I got home and my parents knew I was really, really
wrecked.
Anyway, so what I did was I hibernated for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to stop smoking cigarettes. I wasn't going to touch dope again. So I stopped smoking. I knew if I see other people smoke, I want to smoke.
So at this stage, you were putting it all on dope. You thought it was because of the drugs?
No, I just knew that I couldn't use drugs or I'd be vulnerable to what was happening.
Okay, so you made sense that there was a door
into the
spiritual realm, which the drugs just made it easier for you to open.
Would give them easier access to me. Okay. I would lose some of my ability to defend, you know.
And after the hibernation?
Well, the hibernation was I stopped smoking cigarettes in that time.
So you went cold turkey?
I just went, that's it. I've got to get clean. And I secretly bought a Bible and started reading it, you know. But I had no clue, right? So then I thought, well, there's a band that I want to audition for at the Albion Hotel, right? They're playing at night. So I thought, what I'll do is I'll go there, just listen to the band. The audition's the next day. They need a new frontman. Yeah. So that's what I want to do. What I'll do is I'll take the rest of my pound of marijuana, what I've got left, is maybe 4 or 5 deals, you know, it's quite a bit still. It was a big
Big stash.
Big stash. I'd smoked a lot and sold some. Nevertheless, I thought, what I'll do is I'll go and I'll bless somebody with the remains because I'm not going to smoke it. I'll bless somebody. Anyway, so I go there and I see this girl that I knew. Her brother was a good mate from school. He'd gone to work for Rupert Murdoch in New York. He's a journalist. His dad's, Paul Rigby, the cartoonist.
Yes.
So we're good mates, surfing mates, schoolmates. And this is his sister.
Yeah.
So I see her there and she's there with a boyfriend. I said, look, I really just want to bless somebody with this marijuana that I've got. Would you like it? And she goes, yeah, that's kind of you. So she takes it, they go out, they smoke it. They come back in, I'm listening to the band, and she realises that I'm going to join this band.
Yeah.
And she turns to me, she goes, you know what? She says, you're not meant to join this band. She says, you're meant to play God's music. Like, how random is that? I'm in a pub.
Yeah.
I've just given her and a boyfriend.
And she's prophesying.
And she's telling me I'm meant to play God's music. Doesn't know I've bought a Bible. Doesn't know I've had all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I just went, that's a message from God. It had to be.
Yes.
So I, at that point, I thought, I've got to try and find God then. I'm meant to play God's music. But see, when she said it, I'm thinking, like, that's organ music.
Oh, the
I have to play, Bach and, which I'm okay with that, but I'm a rock and roller.
Yeah.
I don't really want to go back to playing the classics,
Yes.
So, but I hid it in my heart, so to speak, I just thought, well, this is a message, so I'll just see where that leads. Well, then I had a girl I was very keen on up in Mosman Park, and I went to visit her. And she says, have you heard about Pia? That's the girl from the pub. She says, have you heard about Pia? She's become a born-again Christian. I said, what do you mean? Born-again Christian? She goes, I don't know, but that's what she says.
Yes.
I said, well, I saw her only a couple of weeks ago. I said, this is pretty intriguing. I'll have to find her, So, sure enough, she's living down in Freo. And I went and saw her, and she's radiant. She's like shining, like just beaming, joyful.
Yeah.
She goes, I met Jesus, I met Jesus, you need Jesus. You can be born again.
Yeah.
And she said, come along, they play rock music and talk about Jesus.
Perfect match.
Oh, in my mind I'm going, how do you have Jesus and rock music in the same sentence, let alone in the same room? Because my idea, rock music's always going to be drugs and all the other spiritual
It's like
stuff,
ham and pineapple on the pizza. How can you have them both?
You just can't do it. Not supposed to. They don't belong. But I went because I just had to see what that was. And I walked into a warehouse in Vic Park.
Yeah.
And what struck me was the joy in the room.
Yeah.
And it was because the pub was my main point of reference at that stage. And I noticed there were people from every background. Like there were redneck kind of people. There were old people.
Yeah.
But they all seemed to like each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going, this doesn't happen, mate. I mean...
Are they all on drugs or something?
Well, they said it was Jesus,
Yeah.
Later on I heard that saying, they're high on the most high,
Yeah.
So. But the thing was, I realised, and I'd always thought this in my mind, if you could find the thing that brings everybody together, doesn't matter what stream they've come from, that would prove that had to be God.
Yes.
That would be the only thing that you would know was the proof that, because only God could do it.
Yeah.
And when I saw it and felt that presence, I just went, man, I want what they've got.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as the guy said, if you want this, come forward, I ran. I just ran. I ran to the front. I went straight to the front. And this guy comes to me and goes, put your hands in the air. Well, I'd never done that before. Why would I, put my hands in the air? And honestly, it just... Man, it was like home, you know.
Yeah.
A home that had always been there for me. I
Yeah.
just never knew. The love, the Father was there. He just took me in, you know. I couldn't believe that he'd be so kind. And a piano fell off my back. I couldn't believe it was just like all this weight just gone.
Wow.
I felt clean. I felt new. I felt home. I felt home. And then he says to me, "Oh, mate, yeah." Then he said, "Put your hands in the air and ask for the Holy Spirit."
Yeah.
I said, "Mate, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I don't know what the Holy Spirit is." He goes, "Yeah, you need the Holy Spirit. Just put your hands up and I'll pray for you to get the Holy Spirit." Next thing you know, it's like these rivers just flowing through me.
Yeah.
It's just pouring through me. And I listen, I go, "Wait a minute, I'm speaking another language."
Yeah.
I said, "Mate, I'm speaking another language." He goes to me, "Yeah, that's what's supposed to happen." I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And that was the start of it, you know. That was the start. I had a few struggles after that. But joy filled me, and I knew I'd come home. I still had some dark lingerers,
Yeah.
you know. I was still haunted by that death thing.
Yeah.
And one night I went to a Bible study.
Mm-hmm.
There was only about 5 people in that warehouse in the middle of the week. We're all sitting on those plastic chairs, you know, that everybody has. And someone reads this verse out of Hebrews. I didn't know it was in Hebrews then, but he goes, "He came to deliver those who all their lifetime were in bondage to the fear of death."
Yeah.
Right? That verse, something knocked me off my chair. Like literally.
You fell off.
Next thing, I'm sitting on the floor.
But the power didn't go off this time.
No.
You went off.
I went off. I'm on the floor and I'm looking at these guys and they didn't even look.
Yeah.
They're still just reading their Bibles and stuff. And I'm on the floor. I'm going, how did I get here? Anyway, I just sort of, you know, tried to, brush myself off and go, "Oh, whatever that was," sit on my chair. I never feared death again.
Yeah.
It was completely gone. I never, ever was haunted. Never heard death in songs anymore. Never, just completely
Wiped away.
And one other time, some ugly things left. I went on a road trip.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I want to go on a road trip where it's
Yeah.
just me and God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to talk to him the whole way.
Yeah.
Because I just figured a road trip back in those days, no mobile phones. It's just, there's no interruption. Right? It's just me and the road and him.
Yeah.
So I just went driving. I just headed south, and the whole way I started speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking, and I'm seeing. Then all of a sudden, I just started crying and coughing and snot everywhere. I had to pull over. I couldn't even see. I'm on the side of the road somewhere out in the bush.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I can't stop crying, and all this stuff's just gone out of me, you know. And the next thing you know, I'm feeling like, I don't know if you know what that feeling is. I'm buzzing. I am like I've been washed so clean, but inside,
Yeah.
detoxed.
Detoxed.
It's like that. It's like whatever that was, it isn't there anymore. And there's just this incredible shining cleanness inside me. And, I stopped being as haunted in my mind,
So when did you start playing music for God, singing for God?
Soon after that. They said they needed a keyboard player. Well, actually, the night that I came to the Lord, I saw a piano on the stage, an acoustic piano.
So was this Rhema back in the days?
No,
of Rhema?
this was Potters
Potter's
back
house.
in the day.
Okay. Potters in Vic Park, that's where it started.
It was like Jeff Hopp was part of that thing
Yeah,
back then.
okay.
It was just right.
Is this
at the
late
start.
80s?
Yeah. No.
Mid 80s.
Early.
Early 80s.
So I jumped on the piano that night and just started playing an improvised song to God, you know.
Yeah.
Because I figured, well, I'm going to tell him I'm glad.
Yeah.
So I just did it. People still tell me they were there, you know, they saw it. But then soon after they asked me to join the band, I started writing songs and playing, and we started just playing in all the high schools and on the beach, and we'd play on the, you know, in front of the Scarborough Hotel.
Yeah.
We'd yell out to all the bikers, you know, you need Jesus, he's going to change your life. And,
Wow.
you know, and we just went everywhere. We saw literally probably thousands of decisions for Christ.
When did you go to Sydney?
I went to Sydney. Well, before I went to Sydney, I got asked to travel as an evangelist.
Yes.
I just started seeing people get healed.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first I tried too hard. And one morning, this is my first church. I went to Albany.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of story to tell here, but I went there and I was working in a fish factory, you know, $5 an hour, getting sworn out all day, and it wasn't much fun. But I was earnest for God, you know. So I used to fast 3 days every week because I just wanted to see a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wasn't getting anywhere, you know. Just the whole town wasn't getting saved, and I thought they should be. So what I did was I went on this one more fast. I just went, that's it. I'm going to do a fast.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to ask God, what does he want to tell me?
Yeah.
Instead of what do I want him to do for me?
Yeah.
What does he want to say? So I did. And on the third morning, he just said to me, he who ceases from his own works enters my rest.
Yeah.
I didn't even know where that was in the Bible, but I knew it had to be Bible because I knew he'd said it to me.
Yeah.
And so I did find it in Hebrews chapter 4. But you know, when God says something to you, it rolls, like it unfolds, and it just kept rolling in my spirit and get clearer and clearer and clearer. And I just went, oh my goodness, if I just follow his lead, I'll see what he's wanted to do all along. He doesn't need me to initiate all of this.
Yeah.
And so I just started to listen. And that's where, like, incredible things started happening. There was a child in our church. The parents had said the child had a terminal illness.
Mm-hmm.
And when I prayed for the child, something happened. And they said, funny thing, it like he's, 10 or 12, like somewhere around there. He said, it started to come out of me when you prayed.
Wow. The boy said that.
The boy? I go, what do you mean it started to come out? He says, I don't know, I could feel it.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let's just get it out then.
Yeah.
And we did. And he went back for all the tests, nothing,
Healed.
completely healed. So that kicked it off. People started to hear of what was happening.
Yes.
There's a little church meeting in the old motorbike workshop down there in Albany. And they started to ask me to come. And so I ended up traveling the world for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Just because
Praying
God was
and
doing stuff.
Worshipping and singing and
so
testifying, preaching as well?
Yeah, all of it. I mean, I was amazed.
One man show, basically.
Because
everything.
they'd get me to the town and they'd say, now you're singing on the street here or in this, town square. Or I would do everything. I'd just sing my songs. And then we'd invite people to know the Lord. Then we'd start praying for them. We just did everything. It was pretty awesome. And in the end, we had 3 kids. So it was a bit hard to keep traveling with 3. So
where did you meet your wife?
In church.
In church? In your church, your Paul's house?
Yeah, she was a hard-case girl. She came out of a feminist, uni trained background. Vowed she'd never get married.
Until she met you.
Well, she had to meet Jesus first, or that never would have
It would have never happened.
It would never happen. Anyway, 3 kids later, God really spoke to me about going. We were going to go to Russia. So I went on an impact team to Russia.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go.
Moscow? Or
to pastor, to pioneer a new church.
in Moscow?
No, probably St. Petersburg. I had a friend already in Moscow at the time.
Yeah.
He'd gone to plant there. You might know Rod McNeil. He's good.
Yes.
So he went to Moscow.
Okay.
And I'd followed him to Albany. He started Albany.
Yeah.
I followed up. And then we were going to go to Moscow, to St. Petersburg, and the church was going to send us. And then one morning in prayer, the Lord just says to me, I don't want you to go. We were all ready.
Yeah.
He said to me, I want you to go to Sydney. I'm like, man, that's a big different, from
St.
Russia.
Petersburg.
Look, the main thing with Russia, I went there, I didn't get a sense of call,
Yes.
but I just saw the need.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go on that basis.
Yeah.
But when he said Sydney, I went, okay, well then you've got to confirm this. And the next day, my pastor, who was sending us to Russia, he called and said, look, I want to meet with you. When I met him, he said, look, we really feel like you're meant to go to Sydney. I hadn't talked to anybody but my wife, and we'd prayed. So off we went to Sydney, started a church in Bondi, and that was awesome.
Surfers.
But what's amazing, a number of Bondi rescue lifeguards got saved.
That's
We
great.
started in the Bondi rescue.
Yeah, movie. The show.
Well, before the movie started.
Yeah.
But those guys that were part of that team came because we started in the life-saving hall.
Club. That's where the church started.
Right there. That's where we started. We met right on the beach.
Nice.
And what was amazing, models started getting saved. Like, Miss Australia, Miss Sweden got saved, and all these different girls going, not wearing a lot of clothes to start with. And I remember when the girl, Miss Sweden, came, she's standing near the front, and I could see all the guys were just like looking like this, at the ceiling. I'm going, what's wrong with these guys? Until she turned around, I realised that, she was dressed for the beach. But she came to the Lord and came better clothed the week after, but these people, it was quite amazing, the people that got saved. Really very eclectic group. Very, very eclectic. Bondi is an amazing place like that. I thought we'd see more Jews come to Christ because it's a Jewish stronghold around there.
Yeah.
But we did reach out to them.
How did you end up in Hillsong?
I had to leave the movement that I was with.
Okay.
I got tighter and tighter and more demanding, controlling.
Yeah.
And it came to a crisis.
You were operating a lot in the prophetic as well, or just in the healing?
Very prophetic as well.
Okay.
I mean, classic. This one girl is in the church. She comes in. I've never seen her before.
Yeah.
And her friend, who's an American model, brought her. And a very beautiful girl. And I just looked at her and God said to me, tell her that I know what I've put inside of her and she needs to protect it. And she burst into tears,
Yeah.
She gave her life to Christ.
Yeah.
And afterwards I hear she's just got pregnant. She's been offered a role with one of the big TV networks.
Yes.
And they've said if she'll
terminate
the child for the job.
Yeah.
And that was the turning point of her whole life. And she's continued to serve the Lord. You see her even sometimes, not too long ago, on TV ads.
Wow.
It was a radical transformation for her. She'd been Miss Australia, I think.
Beautiful.
So that was just the sort of thing that was happening,
Yeah.
just really supernatural. And the crisis was, I either keep following what God is saying to me, and follow Him,
Yes.
or I have to follow the demands of the movement. And so it was man or God, really.
Yes.
And it was only that would make me break that loyalty, because I love the people. I really didn't want to have to separate from those people.
Yeah.
I loved them. I'd done 16 years journey with them.
Yeah.
Helping plant churches around the world and visiting them, of course. But so out of that, I left the movement and I needed someone to connect with,
Yeah.
So Robert Ferguson's one of the guys from Hillsong invited me to come, and they prayed for me. I had an encounter with God, and out of that started connecting with them. And then Frank Houston invited me to come and be his worship pastor.
Okay.
Which I'd never been a worship pastor. I'd always been a rock musician,
Yeah.
even as a Christian.
Yeah.
It was always get the message out,
Yeah.
Not so much. I always worship God,
Yes.
but usually on a beach, you know, like under the stars at night. I'd just worship him because I want to be with him. I'd never thought of using music to worship God.
Yes.
You know, music was to reach the lost. So there was a big shift for me.
Mm.
And actually, there was a time when Ron Canoli prayed for me.
Yes.
Just before this. And that's when the shifts happened for me, from a musical evangelist to a musical worshipper.
Yeah.
He prayed for me, and God said to me, you'll see revival.
Yeah.
And you'll be worshipping me. That's what he said to me. So I thought, oh man, I'm shifting gears here.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I ended up...
All those fasting days down in Albany were paying dividends now. The revival
I
you
don't
were
know.
seeking.
If I could connect all those dots back there, because it felt like desperate times back there, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard getting sworn at all day while you work for $5 an hour, you know, shoveling fish all day and then pastoring a church, and at the same time, I felt like, man, this is really hard.
Yeah.
But no, God has been incredibly kind.
And you had some powerful songs that were a hit as well and touched many souls.
Yeah. Awesome in This Place would probably have been the biggest one that people would know me for. God is awesome in this place. I like that. Just, you want God to be awesome when you're there too, you know?
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Ned, what would you like people to remember you by? What's the legacy you'd like to leave?
At the end of my days?
Yeah. A long time from now, 50, 60 years from now.
You know, it's a pretty awesome question. I feel like I want the whole world to know His love. His love caught me when I was going down fast. His love has preserved me. His love has, and I just see all I know the damage I carried. That He's healed through His love. I feel like the world all around us, there's so much damage in people's hearts that only the love of God can repair.
Yeah.
And truth, but love, If somehow I can leave people with a sense of knowing this guy knew God's love and shared it with us, that would be the ultimate.
Yeah.
That'd be the dream.
That would be awesome.
That'd be the dream.
Well, you were touched by God's love, and you are who you are today because of God's love.
I believe it.
If you can infect people with the same love, to love the Father, that's a beautiful legacy.
Yeah.
I like that quote by His love. I think that's beautiful.
Cool.
Well,
Thank
Ned,
you.
thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable with us and just allowing the Holy Spirit to guide you.
You're very kind.
I look forward to seeing more and more of you in various circles where the Lord leads you.
Yeah.
And I think there's some beautiful chapters yet to be written in your story as well.
You're kind, Nathan, Natanael. I've been through some pretty tough times of recent as well. And they throw me on Him. But they also encourage me about our camaraderie in Christ.
Yeah.
That we truly are brothers.
Yeah.
That we need each other.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have what you have.
Yeah.
I have something to bring to the table.
Sure.
But the sense that we all have something part to play and we need each other.
Yeah.
That's become very clear to me the longer I've gone.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the gifts I have.
Yeah.
But I'm lost if I don't have my brothers.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I think as we go through life, I think we shift from that sort of ego-driven world into a more meaning-driven world, where we see people for what they are more and more. As you said before, we used to see faces, but now we see people. We see hearts. We see sons and daughters of the living God.
See, that's rich. How long do you think you've got to do the journey till that happens?
Yeah. Well, it can be 10 years, it can be 15 years, it can be 40 years, it can be 20 years.
Depends.
Yeah.
That's been a big shift in me. Just over a year ago, I asked the Lord before the end of the year, what are you saying to me about the coming year? And He just said to me, be a father.
Yeah.
And I was terribly surprised, because I'm a dad, I have 3 sons, and I love being a dad. I've always loved being a dad.
Yeah.
But I knew this was something else, like a calling to be a father. Oh man, this is a whole other kettle of fish. Then, right after
responsibility.
But right after that, my friend, who's a former detective, you may know him, Chris Bound, he asked me to work with him as a team thing, helping guys come out of jail.
Yeah, transition.
To get their lives back, or lives that they've never had.
Yeah.
And then you find out that the biggest common denominator, fatherlessness.
Yeah.
95% of people incarcerated,
men
and women,
no
father. Yeah. And you go, wow, if us guys who have perhaps been around a bit longer, catch that sense of what you're saying there, really see the people, be a father figure. We'll never be the father, obviously. We have the father, but there's such a need for men who will really stand strong, trustworthy, and caring, kind, in the world of people who are damaged, that way,
Well, we know Australia is probably the most fatherless nation.
Is that true?
Yeah.
My goodness.
It's a sad truth.
Yeah, incredible.
Well, we've got work to do, Ned. I think one life at a time, bit by bit, we do our part in this patch of history. And we leave this place in a better shape than it was before.
That's been the dream.
And those people that encounter you, if they get a glimpse, a drop of the love of the Father, I think you've done your job, mate.
Thank you.
So I thank the Lord for people like you.
God bless you, my friend.
Well, friends, what a tremendous story. What a story of victory, of triumph against all odds. Only God can do this. So I'm not sure what your challenges are, and I'm not aware of the challenges that you're facing. You probably gave up. Well, don't. God does turn people around and lives around. Maybe you've given up on some people that are close to you. Once again, don't give up. Never give up. There's opportunity, there's chances. God will make ways. So just trust in Him. And let the love of the Father be real for you as well. This is Kingdom Stories from Down Under. Thank you for watching us, and if you love this content, please share it with other people. Give us 5 stars, we love them, and help us go wide with this content, because a lot of people need to hear it. The Lord bless you.
Thank you for joining us on Kingdom Stories from Down Under. We'd love it if you would subscribe, rate, and share these stories with your wider community. And remember, every story is worth sharing, including yours.